Most people never think twice about the spider sitting quietly on a garage wall. It looks like something that shouldn't be there, something that wandered in from the dark. But what if that large spider has been working every night while you sleep? What if it has been hunting insects, stopping pests, and patrolling corners you never even notice? And the strangest part is that almost nobody realizes what this animal is actually doing once the lights go out. The more scientists learned about wolf spiders, the more surprising the story became. If the hidden world of nature has ever made you look a little closer, subscribe, because some of the most fascinating creatures on Earth are living right beside us, completely unnoticed. For many people, the story begins in exactly the same way. You walk into the garage late in the evening. Maybe you are putting away a tool. Maybe you are taking out the trash. Maybe you simply switch on the light for a moment before heading back inside. Then something moves across the concrete floor. It is fast, much faster than most people expect a spider to be. For a second, it almost seems too large to be a spider at all. The usual reaction comes instantly: surprise, discomfort, sometimes fear. And within a few seconds, many wolf spiders are crushed simply because they appeared in the wrong place at the wrong time. What makes this interesting is that almost nobody stops to ask a simple question: why was it there in the first place? The answer turns out to be far more fascinating than most people imagine. A garage may look quiet to us. During the day, it often seems like little more than a place to store boxes, bicycles, tools, old furniture, and forgotten household items. But after sunset, the space changes completely. Small insects begin moving through cracks under doors. Tiny flies drift through the air. Beetles wander across the floor. Crickets emerge from dark corners. Moths occasionally slip inside whenever the door opens. What appears empty to human eyes slowly becomes active with life. Most of that activity happens unnoticed because it takes place while people are sleeping. Yet something else is watching. Something that has evolved specifically for this kind of environment. The wolf spider does not sit inside a web waiting for food to arrive. In fact, this is one of the first details that surprises people. When most people think of spiders, they imagine sticky webs stretched between branches or hanging from ceilings. Wolf spiders do something entirely different. They hunt. They patrol. They move through their surroundings almost like tiny cats exploring a territory. Instead of waiting for prey to make a mistake, they actively search for it. This changes everything about the way they live. It also explains why you are more likely to see one crossing the floor than sitting in a corner. But there is another detail hidden behind this behavior. And once you notice it, you may never look at your garage the same way again. If you could somehow watch your garage throughout an entire night, you would begin to see a pattern. The wolf spider rarely wastes energy. It moves with purpose. It pauses. It waits. Then suddenly, it changes direction. Sometimes it seems to react to movements that are completely invisible to us. A tiny insect crawls from beneath a shelf. Within seconds, the spider is already moving toward it. No web, no trap, no warning. Just a remarkably efficient predator doing exactly what it has evolved to do for millions of years. What is even more surprising is that many homeowners spend money trying to eliminate insects that wolf spiders hunt for free every single night. Roaches, crickets, earwigs, beetles, various crawling pests. Many of these animals become potential meals. The spider has no interest in protecting your house. It is simply trying to survive. Yet the result is often the same. Fewer insects moving around the space. Fewer unwanted visitors finding comfortable places to hide. And this creates a strange situation. The animal that many people see as the problem is often dealing with the actual problem. Most people never realize this because they only notice the spider itself. They do not see the dozens of insects that are no longer there. Nature has a habit of hiding its most important work behind the scenes. The wolf spider is a perfect example. During daylight hours, it may disappear entirely. You can walk through the same garage again and again without seeing any sign of it. Then one evening it suddenly appears and the cycle repeats. Yet while we are focused on the spider's size, something even more remarkable is happening. Wolf spiders are equipped for a style of hunting that feels almost unbelievable when you learn about it. Their eyes are arranged differently from those of many other spiders. If a flashlight catches them at the right angle, you may notice tiny reflections shining back from the darkness. Many people find this strange when they first see it, but those reflective eyes are part of the reason these hunters perform so well at night. They are not wandering blindly across the floor. They are gathering information from a world most humans never notice. Every shadow, every vibration, every movement. The garage that seems silent to us is filled with signals, and the spider is constantly reading them. Yet perhaps the most curious thing is how often people misunderstand what they are seeing. A wolf spider crossing the floor is not looking for humans. It is not plotting an attack. It is not interested in chasing anyone. In reality, it is usually trying to avoid large animals whenever possible. From its perspective, a human is an enormous moving threat. The spider would much rather disappear into a crack than confront something thousands of times larger than itself. But because it moves quickly, people often assume aggression where none exists. Nature is full of creatures that look intimidating simply because they are efficient at what they do, and the wolf spider may be one of the best examples. Still, this is only the beginning of the story, because once scientists started studying these spiders more closely, they discovered behaviors that seem almost impossible for such a small animal. And one of those behaviors is so unusual that it completely changes how many people think about spiders altogether. One of the biggest reasons wolf spiders seem so mysterious is that most of their world exists beyond human attention. We usually notice them only when they cross an open floor or appear under a light. But their real lives are happening in the hours when houses become quiet and the outside world settles into darkness. This is where their unusual biology begins to reveal itself. Unlike many animals that depend heavily on smell or hearing, wolf spiders rely on a combination of sharp vision and extraordinary sensitivity to movement. To understand how unusual this is, imagine walking through your garage in complete darkness while still being able to detect the slightest movement from several feet away. That is closer to the spider's experience than most people realize. Its eyes are not arranged randomly across its head. They are positioned in a way that allows it to gather information from different angles at once. Some eyes help detect movement, others help judge distance. Together, they create a system that is remarkably effective for a nighttime hunter. If you have ever shined a flashlight across the ground and noticed tiny, bright reflections staring back at you, there is a good chance you were looking directly at a wolf spider. Those glowing points are often the first sign that one is nearby. Yet the eyes tell only part of the story. The garage floor itself is constantly transmitting information. Every tiny insect that walks across concrete creates vibrations. Every movement sends faint signals through the environment. To us, these signals are completely invisible. But to a wolf spider, they can be as important as sound or sight. The spider's body is covered with fine sensory hairs that help it interpret the world around it. A cricket moving beneath a shelf, a beetle emerging from a crack, a fly landing nearby. Each movement creates clues. The spider pieces those clues together and builds a surprisingly detailed picture of its surroundings. This means that even when a prey animal thinks it is hidden, it may already have been detected. And this leads to something many people never expect. Wolf spiders are not random wanderers. Their movements often look unpredictable to us, but there is usually a reason behind what they do. They are constantly collecting information and adjusting their behavior. A certain corner may consistently attract insects. A particular crack may serve as an entry point for prey. Over time, the spider learns where activity tends to occur. The result is a hunting strategy that looks almost intelligent. Scientists are careful about assigning human qualities to animals, but there is no question that wolf spiders are far more sophisticated than most people assume, and nature has given them another advantage that makes them even more effective: speed. A web-building spider can afford to wait. A wolf spider cannot. When the moment arrives, it must react immediately. Some species can move with surprising bursts of acceleration. One second they appear completely motionless. The next they are already closing the distance. For prey animals, this sudden speed can make escape almost impossible. Yet what is fascinating is how rarely this speed is directed toward humans. Most wolf spiders spend their lives trying to avoid encounters with large animals. When they suddenly run across a floor, they are often searching for shelter rather than confrontation. From the spider's perspective, the giant footsteps of a human are more alarming than the presence of any insect. This misunderstanding may be one of the reasons people fear them. Fast movement naturally captures our attention. Our brains are wired to notice it, but speed does not necessarily mean aggression. In many cases, it means caution. The spider wants to disappear long before you get close enough to notice it. Still, perhaps the most remarkable thing about wolf spiders is not how they hunt. It is what happens after they become parents. Most people imagine spiders as solitary creatures concerned only with survival. Wolf spiders challenge that assumption in one of the most extraordinary ways found anywhere in the spider world. After laying her eggs, a female wolf spider creates a silk egg sac and carries it with her wherever she goes. Instead of leaving the eggs hidden and hoping for the best, she transports them across the landscape, day after day, night after night. Through changing temperatures and shifting conditions, she continues hunting while carrying the future generation behind her. But even this is not the part that surprises researchers the most. The truly unusual moment comes after the eggs hatch. Tiny spiderlings emerge into the world. At this stage, they are incredibly vulnerable. Most animals their size would face enormous danger. Yet the mother provides protection in a way that almost seems unbelievable the first time you see it. The young climb onto her body and ride on her back. Dozens of tiny spiders covering a single larger spider as she continues moving through the environment. It is one of the most distinctive sights in the natural world. Many people who encounter this scene assume they are witnessing something rare. In reality, it is a normal part of wolf spider life. The mother carries her offspring while they grow strong enough to survive on their own. For an animal often viewed as cold and frightening, the image creates a completely different impression. Suddenly, the spider no longer looks like a monster hiding in a garage. It looks like a parent navigating a difficult world. And this small detail changes the way many people see the species forever. Yet even this remarkable behavior is only a glimpse into a much stranger story. Because hidden among the insects and shadows that wolf spiders hunt, there are creatures even more unusual than the spiders themselves. And some of them have evolved ways of turning hunters into victims. The deeper you look into the life of a wolf spider, the more you begin to realize that the garage is not simply a place where a spider happens to live. It is part of a much larger hidden ecosystem. Every crack in the wall, every shelf, every cardboard box, and every dark corner becomes part of an invisible network of interactions. Insects search for food. Predators search for insects. Tiny organisms feed on even smaller ones. While humans see storage space, nature sees opportunity. And somewhere in the middle of this nightly activity, the wolf spider occupies a surprisingly important position. Yet even a hunter as capable as this one is not completely in control of its world. Nature rarely allows any creature to dominate without facing challenges of its own. In fact, some of the strangest discoveries about wolf spiders come from the things that hunt them, manipulate them, or depend on them. One example begins with an insect that most people would never connect to a spider. Certain parasitic wasps have evolved an extraordinary strategy. Instead of hunting insects directly, they target spiders. The encounter often starts quietly. A wasp locates a spider and delivers a precise sting. The spider survives, but something has changed. The wasp deposits an egg, and eventually a developing larva begins using the spider's body as a source of nourishment. It sounds almost impossible, yet this relationship has evolved countless times throughout nature. The hunter becomes the host. The predator becomes part of another creature's survival strategy. What makes this fascinating is not the violence of the process, but the reminder that every animal exists within a larger web of connections. Even skilled hunters have vulnerabilities. Even successful predators are part of somebody else's story. And wolf spiders face another challenge every single night: competition. A garage may appear spacious to us, but to the animals living inside it, territory matters. Multiple predators can occupy the same environment. Smaller spiders hunt tiny prey. Larger spiders pursue bigger meals. Beetles search for food beneath shelves. Centipedes patrol hidden spaces. Occasionally, these hunters cross paths. Sometimes they ignore one another. Sometimes they compete for the same resources. And sometimes the outcome depends entirely on who notices whom first. This hidden competition is happening constantly, far beyond human awareness. Yet, despite all these pressures, wolf spiders continue to thrive. The reason lies in their flexibility. They do not depend on one specific prey species. They do not require carefully constructed webs. They do not need perfect conditions. They adapt. If one food source becomes scarce, they hunt another. If conditions change, they adjust their behavior. This adaptability is one reason they have become successful in so many different environments: forests, grasslands, deserts, fields, basements, garages. Wherever insects exist, wolf spiders often find a way to survive. But perhaps the most surprising discovery involves something many people never associate with spiders at all: personality. Scientists studying animal behavior have noticed that individual wolf spiders sometimes behave differently from one another. Some appear more cautious, others are bolder. Some explore new environments readily, others remain hidden longer. This does not mean they think like humans, but it does suggest that their behavior is more complex than simple instinct alone. Two spiders from the same species may react differently to the same situation. One might retreat immediately, another might investigate. These subtle differences create an unexpected picture. Instead of tiny machines programmed to perform identical actions, wolf spiders begin to look like individuals navigating their own circumstances. And this raises an intriguing question. How many other assumptions do we make about animals simply because we have never taken the time to observe them closely? Most people spend years sharing their environment with spiders without ever learning anything about them. They remain background characters, shapes in corners, quick movements on the floor, creatures to remove rather than understand. Yet the moment we slow down and pay attention, an entirely different story emerges. We discover hunters with remarkable vision, mothers carrying their young across the landscape, predators that help control insect populations, animals navigating a world filled with danger, competition, and uncertainty. Suddenly, the familiar garage becomes a stage for thousands of small dramas unfolding every night. There is another detail that many people overlook. Wolf spiders have existed for an incredibly long time, long before houses, long before garages, long before roads, cities, and electric lights. Their ancestors were already hunting across ancient landscapes. Generation after generation survived changing climates, shifting ecosystems, and the arrival of entirely new species. The spider crossing your garage floor is part of a lineage that stretches back through immense spans of time. It carries instincts shaped by millions of years of evolution. The movements that seem random are actually the product of countless generations refining successful strategies. Every pause, every turn, every sudden burst of speed has roots deep in natural history, and somehow these ancient hunters have adapted to modern human environments without most people even noticing. Yet perhaps the strangest realization comes when you imagine what happens after you turn off the light and close the door. The garage becomes dark once again. Human activity fades away. The hidden world resumes its rhythm. Tiny insects emerge from shelter. Shadows shift across the floor. And somewhere among them, a wolf spider begins another night of movement. Not because it wants to help humans, not because it understands the purpose of a garage, simply because it is following instincts older than civilization itself. But in doing so, it quietly performs a role that benefits the space around it. And once you understand that, it becomes much harder to see the spider as nothing more than an unwanted visitor. The real question is not why the wolf spider is there. The real question is whether the garage would be the same place without it. At the beginning of this story, the wolf spider may have seemed like an unwelcome guest, a large shadow moving across the garage floor. Something to remove before it disappeared beneath a shelf. But after looking a little closer, the picture becomes very different. The spider itself has not changed. The only thing that changed was our understanding of what we were actually seeing. This happens often in nature. Many of the creatures people fear most are also the ones they know the least about. The wolf spider spends its life performing tasks that rarely attract attention. It does not build dramatic webs across doorways. It does not announce its presence with sounds or bright colors. It works quietly, almost invisibly, night after night, long after people have gone to sleep and the world has become still. There is something strangely beautiful about that. Imagine stepping into your garage just before dawn. The air is cool. Everything is silent. The tools hang motionless on the walls. Dust settles on forgotten boxes. Nothing appears to be happening. Yet only a few hours earlier that same space was alive with movement. Tiny insects traveled through cracks and corners. Predators searched for prey. Countless small interactions unfolded in complete darkness. By morning, almost all evidence has vanished. The garage looks exactly as it did before. The hidden activity leaves few traces. This is one of nature's most remarkable qualities. So much life surrounds us every day without demanding recognition. The wolf spider is part of that invisible world. It does not need an audience. It simply continues doing what it has always done. The longer you think about it, the more unusual that becomes. Human beings spend enormous amounts of time controlling their environments. We install lights, we seal doors, we organize storage spaces, we try to create order. Yet even inside those carefully managed spaces, nature finds ways to exist. Small ecosystems emerge in corners we rarely inspect. Ancient survival strategies continue playing out beneath shelves and behind boxes. A wolf spider moving through a garage is a reminder that we never completely separate ourselves from the natural world. We simply stop noticing it. But the natural world remains there, waiting quietly in the background. This is why some of the most fascinating discoveries do not happen in remote jungles or distant wilderness areas. Sometimes they happen a few feet away from where we park a car. The more closely scientists study ordinary species, the more extraordinary they often become. A spider that carries its young. A hunter that navigates darkness with remarkable precision. A predator that helps regulate insect populations without human assistance. None of these things are obvious when you first glance at a spider crossing the floor. Yet they become impossible to ignore once you learn the story behind them. And perhaps that is the real lesson hidden inside the life of the wolf spider. Curiosity changes what we see. Fear often begins where understanding ends. The moment we replace assumptions with observation, familiar creatures start looking very different. Suddenly, a spider is no longer just a spider. It becomes part of a larger story stretching across millions of years. A story of adaptation, survival, and constant change. A story unfolding every night, whether anyone notices or not. There is another thought worth considering. Somewhere tonight, in a garage, shed, basement, or barn, a wolf spider will begin its patrol. It will move through shadows older than any human memory. It will follow instincts shaped by countless generations. It will hunt insects that most people never knew were there. It will avoid dangers, search for food, navigate obstacles. Continue a cycle that is repeated for longer than our species has existed. Nothing about that moment will appear extraordinary. Yet, when viewed from the right perspective, it is astonishing. An ancient hunter moving through a modern world, adapting to conditions that did not exist for most of its evolutionary history, quietly surviving alongside us. Most people will never know it happened. They will walk through the same garage the next morning, completely unaware of the events that unfolded overnight. But once you know the hidden story, it becomes difficult to look at these places in quite the same way. The next time you see a wolf spider standing motionless in a corner or crossing a concrete floor, you may find yourself pausing for a moment, not because it is dangerous, not because it is frightening, but because you suddenly recognize that you are looking at something far more interesting than you once believed. A creature carrying millions of years of history, a hunter performing an ancient role, a small but important part of a hidden world existing right beside our own. And perhaps that is why killing a wolf spider in your garage may not be the first choice it once seemed. Because when you finally understand what it is doing there, the spider stops looking like an intruder. Instead, it begins to look like what it has probably been all along. A quiet neighbor working the night shift while the rest of the world sleeps.